We're back, Sam and Amy, talking about the Epstein Files. And I will share with you guys that we had a great episode recorded yesterday. We had technical difficulties and it didn't upload, but we're back today. So let's pretend that didn't happen. And we'll just start by going over the main theme of yesterday, Amy, which was Kathy Ruemmler. So many of our listeners will remember that in the last couple of days, we've been mentioning that the head legal counsel for Goldman Sachs, who is also the former legal counsel for Obama and the head of the DOJ, as you pointed out yesterday, that she has just resigned. Now, we have a big problem with this. Amy, share what the problem is.
So, there's been mounting pressure on Goldman Sachs for Kathy to resign or for Goldman to terminate her. And for until yesterday, Goldman had stood by her entirely, saying, she didn't do anything wrong. She had a professional relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, which the emails do not review. There are over 10,000 emails, and they are just, it's a lot. You can read them.
She called him Uncle Jeffrey. I mean, what more evidence do you need that this woman has horrible judgment? Horrible judgment.
There's so much. But aside from this, yes, she did resign yesterday, but not entirely. First of all, Goldman still stood by her. They said it was her decision, which is unbelievable that is the hill that they have chosen to die on.
It's so much worse. Amy, let me just read this to you. Okay, yeah, keep going.
And then second, it's not like she's out today. Not that her email is shut down and she's walking out. She will resign on June 30th. She will continue to make her millions of dollars for the next few months because that's okay. And that's not, an issue for any of the people at Goldman that have dealt with sexual abuse, or it's truly
I don't even think you need to have dealt with sexual abuse. I think if you are a person with a conscience, why would you want to do business with Goldman right now? Why would you want to work for Goldman right now when their chief legal counsel was aiding and abetting a child trafficking ring? I don't even understand how that's acceptable. So the worst thing is David Solomon, the CEO of Goldman Sachs, and who formerly we respected, no longer, he said that he reluctantly accepted her resignation. Now let's just talk about the spectrum of things that could have happened. You could start by saying he fired her, didn't do that. Then you could say, okay, he pushed her to resign. He admitted he didn't do that. Then you could say, okay, she submitted her resignation, and you say, well, bye, tomorrow's your last day, or yesterday was your last day. Instead, he allowed her to stay on for 5 more months, representing their brand. I mean, this is a company that is obsessed. This is a bank that has built their reputation on their brand.
Yeah.
And they're risking the entire thing. I mean, if you are a shareholder of any sort, if you're a partner at Goldman, how angry are you that you still have this pedophile's BFF on your payroll who's even defending herself? So this is what David Solomon said. He said, I was putting her in a position where it was hard for her to execute on her job and her responsibilities, and she thought it was time to step away, and I reluctantly accepted it. He said that she was a mentor to so many people in the firm, and it's such a huge loss.
I mean, what in the hell? Okay, and separate from this isn't just about David Solomon. Goldman Sachs has a board of directors. The former CEO of Starbucks is on it. There's 12 people. It's a big public board. Okay, all of those people are standing by her. And all of those people on the board are standing by David Solomon's decision to stand by Kathy Ruemmler. It is unacceptable. And besides that, you mentioned that she was in the DOJ. She was, I think, the deputy attorney general on the criminal side at her height. She was one of the prosecutors on Enron, right? And she said, there's a quote where she said, when she won the prosecution of the Enron, of Lay and Skilling from Enron, she said, they could have chosen to tell the truth. They chose to lie. And what? I guess she's okay lying, all of these years, saying she just had this loose professional relationship with Epstein, when that is absolutely not the case. He counseled her on things including, marital issues or non-marital, her love issues, her relationship with the CIA head, John Brennan, which, what, why? Or one thing that I found to be just really interesting and kind of a commentary on America, after she left the DOJ, she went to work, and she left working for Obama. She went to go work for a law firm, Latham and Watkins, making, I'm sure, millions of dollars as a partner. And Eric Holder, the former attorney general, was a partner at the firm as well. Kathy Ruemmler worked in New York City, and the law firm paid for her apartment $10,000 a month. And when she was offered the top attorney general job under Obama, when Holder was leaving, she said to Jeffrey Epstein that her decision point was that she didn't want to give up her New York apartment. Is it all a joke? Is it all a stupid game? Does any of it matter? It's truly shocking. And, we are watching the former Norwegian head of state was just either indicted for criminal activity due to his relations with Epstein, or he's under investigation. And here in
No,
America,
yeah, they're pressing charges. I mean, why is Europe so far ahead of America in taking these people to and bring them to justice? Like why does Europe take this so seriously and Americans don't?
I think it's because of their political system, right? They have parliamentary systems where there are multiple parties, multiple coalitions. And here we have two parties, and they are both, in my view, in my opinion, controlled by like the corporatocracy at this point, right? So it doesn't really matter. Like, that's who they're beholden to, including like Goldman and just the money, right? It's the money. We treat money differently here.
I find all of this so astounding. And one of the people in the New York Post said, which I thought was a good quote, one Wall Street insider said, she Ruemmler will enjoy a wealthy retirement, though probably fewer cocktail parties and golf outings, because I don't even think that's true, because I think this will in some ways add to her allure and fame. That's how we treat people who are circus acts in America. We like being around them.
Well,
She also had an Hermes bag that Jeffrey Epstein bought her. I mean, this is like wild stuff.
well, there was some, oh my God, there was some wild email exchange where Epstein was trying to get her to do something, maybe to introduce her to someone, and she said she didn't know if she could, and he was like, well, maybe if I buy you enough shoes, because apparently he bought her shoes all the time. Like, it's really, really fucked up. I mean, all of it. But I like
Every email was signed XOXO. I mean, these were people who were super tight, super tight.
And there is breaking news right now that I have to tell you because I am coming to you from Ohio. So Senator John Husted, who was the lieutenant governor here in Ohio, and then he replaced J.D. Vance in his Senate seat when J.D. Vance became vice president. According to news reports, Senator John Husted took over $100,000 from Epstein co-conspirator Les Wexner, and I'm quoting from the news, in donations months before voting to block the Epstein Files. Holy shit.
I mean, by the way, what does this do to people's experience of leadership in America? What does it do to people's confidence in their government? I mean, it's like a house of cards. I don't even understand.
Well, I think I said this to you, and I don't know how to articulate this exactly, but the reason this feels like a watershed moment, like a breaking moment to me, is that we have kind of known what happens behind closed doors. We talk about the corporatocracy or the uniparty, or we talk about the elites or the oligarchy. But like at this moment in time, it feels like all of these people who have all the power are standing there looking at us as we beg them to take accountability for themselves or for their peers that have behaved like monsters. And they're looking at us and they're like, screw you. No, we don't have to. And so we're not going to. And like that's a turning point, right? Like that's a turning point.
And I think that the layers of trust in our institutions have been so eroded, as we know over the last few years, in terms of media and what can be bought and what can't be bought, which is at this point nothing. The other headline today, which shocked me, Aim, was that Columbia University had to remove staff who gave a spot in their dental school
Which is impossible
to
to get into.
Jeffrey Epstein's girlfriend.
His girlfriend, that was his girlfriend when he passed away, the woman who stood to inherit his estate. And
Karina Shuliak.
I mean, yes, it's shocking, sort of, because of who she was in a relationship with. But this happens every day in America. It's yet another thing, right? Like, it's yet another thing. Like, the special preference given to the children of the elites to get into institution. Like, it's part of it, right? Like,
And Aim, this I do want us to mention, and I know that you want to talk about this really deeply today, is, so many people think this is partisan, and this is not partisan at all. This, unfortunately, is corroding the Republicans, the Democrats, everyone in leadership. So it's Trump, it's Clinton, it's everyone. So let's dig into Clinton.
I want to talk about Clinton. So I used to intern at the Clinton Foundation when I was in law school in New York. And so I was there when CGI started, which is the Clinton Global Initiative, the big party. And I was around all these people, including this man, Doug Band, who was started out as Clinton's body, like his number two. He would follow him everywhere, hold his bag, take notes. And Doug Band grew to be an incredibly powerful figure in Clinton world. And then he left to start his own global advisory firm called Teneo and make hundreds of millions of dollars, right?
So, Amy, just going to interrupt. I knew him back then, too, because I used to run a lot of political events, and he was at a number of them.
He was everywhere. Now, there have long been rumors, so two pieces to this. First of all, at some point, Doug Band had a falling out with Clinton World. It was like around 2011, 2012. Vanity Fair wrote a big article about it where Doug Band really positioned himself as like the hero. And he kind of insinuated that one of the reasons he broke with Clinton World was because of the Clintons' relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell, which he was against. Okay. take that into account. There's also been all these rumors over the years, whispers, that President Clinton had an affair with Ghislaine Maxwell. There are pictures of them together, etc. I went into the files this morning, or like on my red-eye flight last night, and I was like, let's look this up. Oh my gosh, Sam. What I figured out pretty quickly is that Doug Band shared a BlackBerry with the president from like 2002 to 2004 or something. So like post-presidency, maybe 2001 to 2004. And so there are these kind of emails like, oh, I want to see you naughty, or hi booby, or things like that. And I think that those emails have been public before, so people thought it was Clinton. It's not, and they redact almost all of the email address, but it's WJC, which is William.
Right. And by the way, that made me think that the Trump team purposely redacted all these names except for his, the WJ.
They released the WJC part, so you would think. Yeah. But then I kept seeing these things that one was like, oh, tell President Clinton that his shoes will be in. And I'm like, well, he's not writing that to himself, to Ghislaine, right? And then I figured out, oh my gosh, it's Doug Band writing to Ghislaine, because he says, oh, the president and I share a BlackBerry. Or then he said, email me at my regular email, and he put his Doug Band email in. So then I went and looked at his Doug Band email, and they're similar emails. He says something to the kind of like, I like to see you naked. They're constantly like talking about meeting up, like being naughty, things like this. Like, it seems clear to me that Doug Band and Ghislaine Maxwell had a sexual relationship.
I mean, and do you think that will come out when the Clintons testify in a few weeks?
I was thinking about this, and I was like, they have probably always wanted to protect Doug Band, even if they had a falling out. From what I understand of the Clintons, like, they protect their people, right? Like, it's, they're like,
and theoretically, Doug Band knows where the other bodies are buried. I mean, it's like he was with them forever. Yeah.
This is politics, right? Like, this is the dark underbelly of politics. But like at this point, if they're like, oh, they think it's us, like, no, we're going to tell them the truth, right? Unless like Ghislaine Maxwell had an affair with both of them, which it's possible.
I really don't believe so. Just knowing the people that Clinton had affairs with, I think he did not choose. I think he didn't choose not nice people. Like the people he chose, he has good taste in people. Like he wouldn't be with a woman who's evil. Like I just don't think he would.
But it's really interesting to me. Like one of the things that's most interesting to me about all this is like it has always been mysterious as to why Doug Band fell out with the Clintons. Doug Band met his wife, Lily Rafi, in 2007, like right after this. And then he distanced himself and said, like, was telling the Clintons that Ghislaine Maxwell was bad. And maybe that's because he's now married and he doesn't want her in their orbit, right? Like, if you look at the timing of it. But, like, I just encourage everyone to go read the Vanity Fair article because Doug Band positioned himself as, like, the hero here.
And that was in the year 2000, 2020, that article. 2020.
Oh, yeah, the article was 2020, but it was, like, looking at the time frame, 2011.
Yeah.
So it's 2020. Doug Band knows he's got to do some damage control if the emails are going to come out, right? And like maybe who knows how this story came together, but these people piece together stories and they just hope they'll last, right?
And that's the other thing. We've talked about that on this podcast before. What happens if you're one of these people? Are you just waiting this whole time for the files to be released, knowing that like that might be your ticking time bomb?
Or you just truly believe they never will be because for some reason. And that's why I always go back to thinking like Epstein was intelligence or something, because it seems as if so many very powerful people truly believed that the truth would never come out, right? And at what point do you believe that unless you're told that?
I think that one of the things that is so alarming about all of this is the breadth of people that are part of it, from our financial leaders to our politicians to, look at Casey Wasserman, who, I still don't, just as culpable as David Solomon at Goldman Sachs, far more culpable is this Olympic committee who is not insisting that he step down. The goods on him, it's outrageous. The reason a country hosts the Olympics is for their international reputation. And how can you have the person helming that be someone who is truly like in bed with a child trafficker?
I don't know. And then I go back to, because I'm in Columbus, like back to Les Wexner for a second. His name is on our Museum of Art, a bunch of institutions at the Ohio State University. It's everywhere.
Look at Leon Black. His name is on buildings at Dartmouth. I don't understand how these people... It reminds me of, what was the family, the pharmaceutical family, the Oxy family?
The Sacklers.
The Sacklers. Like, I think that, didn't they take down the Sackler wing of the Metropolitan Museum of Art? I'm pretty sure they did.
Because the Sacklers, I think, agreed to it as part of like a settlement or something, right? Because I think a lot of these institutions, their problem is they took the money. And so they agreed to put names up, right? And so I think a lot of institutions fear, like, if we remove the name, are we then, in trouble, right? Do we have to give the
I
money
mean, you
back?
would imagine, I mean, you're the lawyer, but you would imagine that they have contracts that say unless there's some huge event that made it so that your name is no longer representing the values of our institution,
I
right? I
guess
mean,
I would hope so, but you don't know. And what people will do for money, right? It will never cease to amaze me. All of this is horrifying. Like, and I was sitting there as I was researching the Doug Band issue this morning, and I was like, what is his wife thinking right now? Because she knows, like she's gone in the fight. Like, and it's interesting to me. Like, I was like, when I found this stuff, I texted you because I'm like swiveling my head around, like, why has nobody seen this? But there's millions and millions of emails. And even the New York Times, they said something about, I don't read the New York Times. So there's like a tweet and they were talking about how they were doing the investigation. And they have a whole team of reporters on it, and they've been through like 1% of the emails.
and by the way, the New York Times is also compromised because Arthur Sulzberger is all over the Epstein files. Their coverage is going to be compromised. I think there's almost no institution that has not been hit. I mean, look at Harvard, Dartmouth. I mean, it's an endless number of the institutions we used to trust. And I think this is going to have such seismic repercussions.
But the thing that gives me hope is that it does seem like the wave is starting to grow, right? Like in America, at least, like in the US. In Europe, obviously, I mean, the storm is there, accountability is coming. And in America, there was a moment last week where I was like, no one will ever be held accountable for any of this shit.
But this is not going away. I mean, Trump said, okay, I think we're over this. People are just beginning to understand the scope of it and the horrors.
And what I have to say is the reason this is happening is because a bipartisan coalition of congressmen and congresswomen are not letting it go. And that's the only reason it's going to happen. Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie, a Democrat and a Republican, like they're willing to lose their careers over this. They absolutely
love their partnership, by the way.
Yeah,
like when
they're
together, I feel
clearly willing to lose their seats over this. They're like, and that's and that's the right thing to do.
Of
It
course.
is so important that and I wish that politicians would stand up for so many things that matter in that way.
And by the way, Amy, I just want to say this is part of the reason that we are doing this podcast is because we want to keep these victims' stories out there until they receive justice.
Absolutely.
The day they receive justice, we can stop. But until they receive justice, we have to keep their stories alive.
And the truth is, and I'll say this every single day, the rule of law only exists to the extent to which we enforce it. I don't know that there will ever be justice through the DOJ or through state criminal charges. I don't know that. But I know that we can seek justice by removing people from positions of power who abused other people.
Amen. And we're stopping here, Em, because we got to run.
Thanks.
See you tomorrow.